Patrick, how do you become involved as an anti-tobacco advocate? What happened in your life?
Sad story. My only memories of my father, R.J. Reynolds Jr., are of a man lying down, dying from smoking. So I remember him coughing and gasping for breath, counting the time he had left to live. Yeah, cigarettes took my dad from me. And as a Reynolds, I have a great platform to make a difference on this issue. So sometimes in life you find your calling in where you've been wounded the most deeply. The ex-alcoholic becomes a good speaker on alcohol. The ex-drug addict becomes a good drug counselor. Someone from an abused family maybe becomes a powerful champion of abused kids. So my wound was losing my dad. And in that, I found my calling to stop kids from getting addicted to cigarettes and to empower people to quit. And that's why I founded tobaccofree.org.
Was it difficult for you to come forward publicly and talk about your feelings?
It sure gave me pause. I mean, when the senator who invited me to testify publicly in Congress heard about my anti-smoking views, he said, "You're a Reynolds. We're having a press conference today. Why don't you come on down?" And I said, "Wait a minute. I can't do that." But I went back to L.A., where I live, and the more I learned about the tobacco industry, the more angry I became. No Reynolds has worked at R.J. Reynolds in decades in a position of importance. My father briefly served on the board, but he never really worked in the company as an executive. And the more I learned, the more angry I became. I learned how they were targeting children in their marketing from the American Lung Association. I learned how they were, putting chemicals in cigarettes, like ammonia compounds, that made them more addictive, boosted the delivery of nicotine to the bloodstream. And that started to get me angry. And when I heard that Henry Waxman, the wonderful Democrat who gave us the hearings at which all the tobacco company CEOs stood up under oath and said, "No, I do not believe nicotine is addictive." When Waxman asked me to testify at a hearing about banning tobacco advertising, yes, I said yes. And when I did, my gosh, my testimony was carried on all the major news and wire services, and I was catapulted into the spotlight, and I was besieged with requests for speaking engagements. And I worked on many political campaigns as a volunteer to, get partial smoking bans, no smoking area in restaurants. That was considered so controversial. A lot of people said, smokers have always smoked, we don't need to change. Now we look back and we say, hey, did they ever allow smoking in restaurants? Are there still some places that really do that? South Dakota has a great law in place. You guys get a B, according to the American Lung Association's report card, in the area of the state smoking ban. A lot of cities have passed stronger smoking ordinances where you can't smoke in bars and restaurants statewide. You get a C for your cigarette tax. The state tax is $1.53, even though the national average state tax is $1.34. But we could go higher on the tobacco tax. New York's is $4.50. And before you go complaining about taxes, let's understand that some taxes are good. We live in complex times with complex problems, and most of us don't have the time to look at all the problems of our country in all their full complexity. So we are vulnerable to oversimplified ideologies that say taxes are bad and don't regulate and government's not your friend. Poppycock. This is a good tax. It stops kids from starting to smoke. Tobacco taxes incentivize smokers to quit. Both of those save on healthcare costs long term, and they bring in revenue. Now, if you'd rather raise the state income tax, fine. If you want to raise the state sales tax, fine. But how about a tax on tobacco and let smokers pay for the damage that they're causing? $10 a pack in healthcare costs. So there's a good tax. So South Dakota could do well to raise its tax. Now, funding on tobacco prevention and cessation in South Dakota is weak. $5 million a year. You are 11th in the nation at funding tobacco prevention programs, but we could do better. We're only funding the programs at 35% of CDC recommended levels, and our kids are the ones that are suffering because of it. So we could spend more money on tobacco prevention programs.
What would you say to someone watching this right now who's a smoker and they realize it's dangerous but they haven't quit? What words of hope can you give us that might help them end smoking?
If you're a smoker out there, I'm going to look right at the camera. Take comfort in the fact that most smokers who have failed in the past, and most smokers do fail in the past, and that's part of the normal journey toward becoming a non-smoker. Don't get a message that you can't quit. Take comfort in the knowledge that that's normal and you can do it. Second, get into a program. People who succeed in life often get a businesswoman will get a marketing person to do the advertising. They get a doctor when they're sick, a marriage counselor when their family's in trouble. People who succeed in life get help and they reach out to other people. So get help and get in a program. People who quit smoking alone, 95 out of 100 will go back to smoking within 12 months. They didn't get in a program, they didn't get the knowledge, and 95% fail after 12 months. With the best programs we have, the nicotine replacement, like the patch, the gum, the lozenge, the inhaler, all these over-the-counter nicotine replacement therapies over-the-counter in drugstores, 85% still fail, and they go back to smoking within 12 months. So I am not promising you that there's a magic pill. There ain't. It's going to be hell. It's going to be difficult. But you can do it. Get the knowledge you need to quit. Now, on the count of three, since you're watching TV, you can do this. If you're driving and hearing this on the radio, don't do it when you're driving. But on the count of three, we're going to inhale and take the biggest lungful of air you can, and then we're going to exhale and slowly let all the tension out, our fingers and toes. This is probably the most powerful way of avoiding a craving that exists. 1, 2, 3, go. Slowly let the air out. Your chin kind of goes over on your chest. Your eyes get weary, and you let all the tension go out your fingers and toes. 1, 2, 3, inhale. With me now. Inhale. You're not inhaling. Inhale. Slowly let the air out. Let all the tension go out your fingers and toes. You just relax. And then keep doing that 2 or 3 more times. Look at your hand. Look at an object on the desk around your room. Notice how you feel. Now that will help you get through the craving of a cigarette. That's boilerplate. There are many other techniques. Drink a lot of water. Make a list of 10 good things about being a non-smoker. A list of 10 bad things about smoking that you don't like. Maybe the money. And there's a website called becomeanx.org. So becomeanx.org. They will send you a beautiful brochure that has the best workbook I've ever seen to prepare you for quitting, and you don't have to quit right away. I like sdquitline.com, sdquitline.com, and I like the 800 numbers, 1-800-SD-QUITS. So 1-800-SD-QUITS. And there's one more for live phone counseling, free mailed materials, and SD Quits will give you the free medications, which is a wow. I mean, the free medications are not available in every state, but South Dakota doesn't. Get them. And then the other line where they don't mail free medications, but they do mail, some materials and brochures, and that would be 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Oh, and the SD Quits line is 1-866, not 1-800. 1-866-SD-QUITS, or 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
All right. Thank you, Patrick.